Good morning, and welcome to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
And we welcome you to Talk of the Town for this Tuesday, November the 3rd. I'm Gary Stevens. The Master Gardener, Jan Muse, will be joining us after the 10 o'clock hour with the Yard and Garden Hour. She is with the Brine Seed in Zeeland. Jared Fritzma is in for Patty Vandenberg. What's new around Howland in about an hour, and we'll be open line after the 11 o'clock news block. But on this first Tuesday of the month, we always feel the zeal with Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra is on the other end of our Zoom connection this morning. Kevin, good morning, and welcome back to 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.
Happy Election Day, Gary.
Yeah, and of course, it's not, let's just say it's not anxious time for you because it's not an election day for the municipalities in our area. It's an election day for the townships, but not for the cities.
That's correct. Next year, I'll have to run again.
What goes through your mind on an election day normally when you are running for re-election, as you might be doing it next year, or if you have done in the past? What goes through a candidate's mind when an election day comes around?
You're always a little nervous on what the results will be. Of course, since I ran for mayor, I haven't had any opposition, so I guess I haven't been too anxious on election day. But a couple times when I ran for city council, you're not quite sure if you're going to win or not, but it always came out positive for me anyway.
Do municipal officials who are not running for election get concerned about how the political landscape will be, especially on a statewide level, after an election? The Senate is not up for grabs this year, and the governor's mansion, we're 2 years away from that being decided. But the state house could be up for grabs as from today. Do municipal officials worry, if one party or the other takes control, will it affect us? Does it go into your mind, a collective mind for municipal leaders, about how an election result might really be for their communities?
Yeah, I think, especially for state elections, I think it's in the back of your mind if somebody new would come in, what would happen, and a different party, and what their ideas would be. And so, yeah, it's in the back of your mind, but it's nothing that worries me too much. It's we've been fortunate and have good representation in this side of the state, and they've done a good job. And yeah, so I don't worry too much about it. But yeah, you think about it a little bit. What would happen if somebody new came in?
Do local state leaders? I mean, obviously, the local representatives have been very progressive, very outgoing in terms of being at civic functions, being at council meetings. Brad Slaw, most recently, but Daniela Garcia, probably Bill Heisinger when he represented our area, Joe Havman. They're pretty much there at council meetings to update the council whenever there's developments that need to be. What about the challengers? Do they reach out to the council members and talk to you guys saying, hey, I'm running against this person, this is what I can do for you, and just need to know what your concerns are?
Yeah, once in a while. Not too often. I know like Brad came in before he was elected and told us a little bit about himself, but his challenger never has. But yeah, it happens. I think it happens more with the judges. We get more judges in that are campaigning at the beginning of the election year, that they come in and tell a little bit about themselves.
So therefore, you might have seen a little bit of Juanita Bocanegra and Vern Helder because they're both vying for Susan Jonas's seat on the district court bench.
That is correct. Yes. So, but you were right about the Brad Slaw coming in, and the people before him. They always have been very good about coming to our council meetings, giving us updates. So I give them kudos for that. That they are very much involved with the city politics, and I appreciate that.
395-1450. If you have a question for Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra, no, he is not running for re-election today. So it's okay to have him on election day, and he'll answer your questions about what's going on in Zeeland at 395-1450. As an elected municipal leader, Kevin, how concerned are you about the political landscape of this state and of this nation moving forward after today? Because we've had a very acrimonious, and I'm putting it mildly, acrimonious 2020 election. Are you concerned that we're going to have maybe scorched earth, or are you concerned about how things are going to look after today?
Yeah, I think it probably goes like I said before with the state politics. It's in the back of your mind what will happen if somebody new comes on board. With the economy, with what would happen in the healthcare industry. Yeah, so it's there, and you worry about it, but I don't beat myself up over it. If somebody new comes in, there's always these dire predictions, but they never come true. And I think we've got a good form of government where they got their checks and balances, so one person doesn't make that much of a difference.
395-1450. Good morning. You're on the line with Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra.
Quality Car Wash is wanting to put a car wash in Zeeland. Why was it rejected at the corner of Riley and State?
Why was the car wash says thumbs down on that there?
Yeah, that was a long process, and we looked at it, and we decided that it probably wasn't the best place for it. There was people that were concerned about the traffic, especially for around the end of school, the beginning of school time, where lots of kids are going to the high school, to Zeeland East. And of course, there's Gentex right there. People are getting out of work and going to work early in the morning. So yeah, it was mainly a traffic issue that we decided probably wasn't the best spot for it.
Okay.
One more question.
Yes.
Is the mayor Republican or Democrat?
I would put myself in the Republican bracket.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the call. 395-1450, 395-1450. Are we getting to a point, Kevin? It follows up with that caller about the car wash situation, where some tough decisions need to be made about where do you develop in Zeeland, because we're getting to a point now where pretty much we have the residential area, we have the educational area, we have the commercial and the retail area, and it's getting to the point where there's not too many open areas left in the city to make a decision about where to put things and where to zone things.
Yeah, that's right. We're running out of room, and especially, well, in the residential area too, but in the industrial area. So I guess you always have to look at that when you want to change zoning, and our zoning department thought it would be best not to change the zoning on that area as well, to keep it industrial. So yeah, we have to look at that and make sure that we have the best use of the land, and you also have to look at traffic patterns. When we usually have a new development like that, we bring in our traffic consultant, and he does a study on it for a while, does some traffic counts, and make sure that it would probably be a good fit in that area.
395-1450, 395-1450. Speaking about traffic, heading east-west through Zeeland is pretty good. I mean, Washington Avenue is you do have to slow down in the downtown area, but for the most part, Washington Avenue is pretty good. Main, you have to sort of take your time in the immediate downtown area. North and south, though, there's really State and maybe Fairview on the far east side, but is that really a concern about trying to, especially maybe making State a little bit more easier to go north and south through Zeeland, or do you kind of sort of like the traffic flow as it is right now?
You're right. The north and south on State Street is rough, especially at 2:30 and at 7 o'clock in the morning. And it's gotten a little better since our traffic circle has been completed. That when that was closed down, more people were using State Street. And I live next to State Street, so I realize at times it's hard to get onto State Street even to go anywhere. So yeah, it is a problem. The only thing is that, a few years ago we did put the traffic lane, the turn lane down, the left turn lane down the middle of the road. So that helps somewhat, but yeah, it still is busy. It gets clogged up, and but the only problem is most of it's through residential area, and we can't widen it too much, and because it would interfere with people's houses. So yeah, it's tough. We've talked about it. It is a concern for the planning commission. It's been talked about in our planning commission what we can do about the State Street traffic. But yeah, time will tell, I guess.
Yeah, because you want people to be able to enjoy and get into Zeeland and out of Zeeland conveniently, but not so much where it becomes a major thoroughfare, and you have issues with maybe traffic being too fast or too thick. So it's almost like you guys are walking a thin line in that regard.
Yes, you're right, and it is a county trunk line as well, so we have to deal with that as well. But we did halt truck traffic on State Street. We've told them that they have to use the east entrance or the west entrance to get into town. So that has helped a little bit, that we don't have the semis going up and down State Street.
Yeah, that's certainly a help, even though some semis still have to get into that area, especially with Zeeland Lumber and some of the other entities in downtown that need the need to have that access to their deliveries. 395-1450, 395-1450. If you have a question for Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra, I'll be happy to answer it at 395-1450. You guys met yesterday, right?
Yes.
Okay. What key things came out of the meeting last night that we need to know about moving forward in the city of Zeeland?
I apologize, Gary. No, we did not meet last night.
Oh, okay.
Changed the meeting date because of the election. So our city clerk was a little worried about meeting going long. So I thought you asked if we were supposed to meet last night, but
okay.
No, changed the meeting date. So yeah, I don't have any info on that,
but things moving forward, obviously it's kind of tough to some of the holiday things we'd be talking about coming forward not going to happen. Most recently the Zeeland Magical Christmas Parade is a casualty of COVID-19. Having driven in that and being a part of it, it certainly is a festive atmosphere. But what can we look forward to over the next few weeks heading in towards holidays in the city of Zeeland?
Well, our marketing department, Abby and Carrie, they've decided to have a holiday open house for the stores downtown. So we are going to have that. So I'm not sure of the date. I think might be December 6th, but just have to look on our website. But yeah, they're going to have they're organizing a holiday open house.
I know we've discussed this before, Kevin, and it sort of became sort of sidetracked because of what happened, the outbreak that happened with COVID-19. But is there still some sentiment that people want to get snow melt going in downtown Zeeland?
Well, actually, we had our first snow melt meeting last week, and that's the first one we've had since the pandemic started. And yeah, we are going to continue to look at it and probably get some more input from store owners and see if they are still interested, and still looking at different options, how much coverage we want in the area. So yeah, the committee at least was still interested in moving forward with it.
395-1450. Good morning. You're on the line with Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra.
Yes, Kevin, I have a question on the Maple Street one-way block. I am wondering why that is one way. I live south of town, and I have to go around 3 blocks every time just to get past this one-way street. And you were talking about getting the traffic to flow. Now, Maple Street is one of the exits onto the highway, and I was just wondering why this is still one way.
Well, years ago, when the bus traffic was still fairly heavy at the middle school, we decided that it would probably be safest for that to become one way, because that section of Maple Street is very narrow. And if we allow cars to park on it for the neighborhood, it becomes hard to get bus traffic through there. So we decided at the time to make it one way coming from the south, that the buses still could get to the middle school and the traffic would flow a little easier. So again, we consulted with our traffic consultant, and he thought that would be the best way to do it. So that's why we did it. I know it's inconvenient. I find myself wanting to turn right down that street quite often coming down Central, and I have to catch myself. So I would imagine if you live there, it probably does get a little inconvenient, but it was mainly because of safety.
Okay. Well, see, when the high school was there, I could understand that because they have cars, but but now that it's a middle school, they don't have cars.
That is true.
And that's, I feel you can get into Zeeland, but you can't get back out.
Maybe that's what we wanted. We wanted to keep people here once we were there, but not to make light of it. I realize that it can be an inconvenience, and maybe it's time to look at that again and see if it's time to change.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the call. 395-1450, 395-1450. Yeah, you don't want to, you want people to be captive because they want to be captive, not because we can't get out of town. Not the Zeeland corn maze.
Yeah. No, we've talked about that. We've talked about changing Centennial Street back to two-way again. And in fact, City Council voted on that to see if we would want to do that, but it got voted down to still keep it one way. But there might be some changes coming in our downtown in the near future that we might have to look at doing that again, and maybe also changing Maple Street. So we'll see. I'm sure we'll be talking about it in the future.
395-1450, 395-1450. If you have a question for Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra, we have a few more minutes to chat with him today about some of the things going on in his community. Can we dare look ahead to 2021 yet? Or is that still a little early?
No, in fact, Gary, I just had to fill out our wish list for our capital projects for next year for our planning commission. So no, it's never too early to look at the next year. So this time of year is when it goes into full gear, where the finance department starts looking at the budget for next year. And so no, it's when it gets towards October, November, that's when they start going in full gear.
And the reason why I'm saying, can we dare look ahead to 2021 is because if anything we've learned over the last 7-8 months, any planning you have can go out the window just like that.
That's right. And I hopefully 2021 is a lot better than what 2020 was. But the city came out pretty good with the pandemic. All the grants that came out that helped the business owners downtown and the factory owners helped and kept things going. Not too many people lost their job because of it. And it seems like the economy's coming back. And I know there's still people that are out of work, and I feel for them. But all in all, I think the city came out pretty good with the pandemic, and hopefully next year we won't have to deal with it so much. That was probably the number one thing on all our minds in the city, was the pandemic for several months, and hopefully next year we can get some more projects done and operate as usual.
And finally, certainly, although the city is quote unquote split with its football allegiances and sports allegiances with the high schools, the East and West campus, even though East couldn't play its game because of COVID-19, West is still very much alive. And certainly the city will probably be rallying around John Shillitoe's team, not only this coming Friday against Middleville, Thornapple, Kellogg, but also maybe another run to Ford Field. It would be nice to see the Zeeland colors fly again in downtown Detroit.
Yeah, I feel bad for the Zeeland East football team that their season had to end so abruptly, and they were having a good season. But yes, you're right. The community does rally around the sports teams when they're doing well, and even if they're not doing well. So I think the Zeeland teams always have good fan participation.
And of course, there are some Zeeland residents that send their kids over to Unity Christian as well, so they're hopeful of doing well as Unity Christian's continuing on taking on Hamilton on Friday night. But that's a sports thing. One final thing, more than anything else, it's sort of stay the course for the city of Zeeland, get us through the holidays, through the winter months, and then hopefully on the other side, some nice springtime stuff for the city.
Yeah, I guess I would like to mention one thing before we go, Gary, is that it's leaf pickup time in the city of Zeeland. And just make sure, especially after the strong winds we had this last weekend, do not mix your sticks with the leaves. Keep the sticks out of the leaf pile, because where we bring the leaves, that they put them on a farm field and they do not like the sticks in it. And I would hate to lose that area to where we can get rid of those leaves. So please keep your sticks out of your leaf pile.
We will put a link to the City of Zeeland's official webpage when we put the podcast of our conversation with Mayor Kevin Klynstra on our webpage at WHTC.com in a few minutes. Kevin, thank you very much, as always, for spending some time with us to talk about some of the things going on in your community. And we look forward to hopefully chatting with you again on the first Tuesday in December.
Okay, Gary, appreciate it. Thank you.